And now, in the large city category, the winner of the first place City Livability Award is Mayor Joseph O. Reilly, Jr. of Palmetto, of Charleston, for the Palmetto Artisan Program.
Palmetto trees symbolize Charleston.
It just screams South Carolina.
They're part of the landscape, just a basic part of the fabric of our city.
Ever since I was a little girl, I remember seeing kids selling the roses.
We had these children selling the beautiful palmetto roses that they make from the fronds of the palmettos.
They were unidentified, they were unsupervised.
Would actually find their materials in the backyards of some of our residents.
They weren't criminals, they were good kids that just needed direction.
The mayor wanted a program that the kids would be able to sell their roses.
To give the kids training, to give the kids free fronds so they wouldn't trespass, and let them know that there was somebody out there that cared about them and for them.
We're going to make baskets today. We're going to be the wholesale.
We take our skills and teach the Palmetto artisans how to start and operate a business.
If you want to be a Palmetto artisan, you can get a permit to sell any place you want to in the city, but you've got to go through our BIZ Camp program.
So the wholesale cost of this basket? You talk to kids about making money, you get their attention. In 1 week's time, we address the principles of business and how to enhance what they're already doing, taking their street knowledge and turn it into business skills.
It's about a business plan. It's about customer service. It's about salesmanship.
Excuse me, would you like pictures of roses and things?
They learn about how they, as an entrepreneur, have responsibilities when they're out selling to the community.
Who can tell me another one of the rules?
You gotta have respect and you gotta know how to treat the customer with respect.
Don't be rude to a customer when they say no.
You gotta present yourself well and show people that you care about your product that you're selling.
Mayor Reilly was in on this from the very beginning. He is so committed to Charleston youth.
He understands that every citizen of this community should have the right to take that next step forward.
The more we can do to educate our youth, the better it is for all of us.
What makes Charleston is the people who live here and the people who are here every day running the businesses and creating the economic development for the city. Doing these things with small kids is going to allow Charleston to continue to be a city that's livable and have a high quality of life.
And it's just so thrilling to see these kids successful and engaged, and they're doing better in school. They're going to be successful business people. We got some real future millionaires, I promise you, who are now Palmetto artisans on the streets in the city of Charleston.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Charleston Mayor Joseph Reilly, and he will be joined by Jimmy Bailey, the Executive Director of YEScarolina. Mayor.
Well, thank you very much, Barry, and my fellow colleagues. I congratulate all who participated in this. As was said on the earlier video, this experience in our meetings are always so stimulating to us and all of you, and we inspire each other. I take so many wonderful ideas back to my city every year. As you all know, you mayors, anything like this is a result of dedicated staff and community partners that we all are so lucky to have in our community, and I certainly am. What this was what we seek to do all the time is turning a challenge into an opportunity, a negative into a positive. It was really a big controversy. The kids were selling these all over the place, and they were climbing trees in people's yards, and they had machetes cutting them down, and we ran the risk of being injured. They were leaving litter all around. We have ordinances restricting where you can be a peddler, and they were in violation of all of that, and the merchants and everybody wanted to get rid of them. And you know, and what we knew was that these were good kids. They were trying to make a buck, and the worst message we could do to these kids was that something was wrong with them. And so we created this program, which is a huge success and is the result of so many people working so hard together. As I said on the video, the kids are happy, they're successful, they're doing better in school, and they have all these skills, and I really believe we'll have some future millionaires, but at the very least, kids who are happy and supported and getting assistance from the community while they're growing up. There's a I think also transferable personal story here with my friend Jimmy Bailey, who is the person really responsible for all of this. Jimmy and I have been friends for over 40 years, and political friends and personal friends. We exchanged Christmas presents, ran road races together, drank beer together, and other things. Well, nothing worse than drinking beer together, I promise you that. But a number of years ago, Jimmy ran for mayor. And he'd been in the legislature. It was a perfectly natural thing for him to do. And when he did, that created a couple of challenges for me. One, a very difficult election. And secondly, the fact that I knew he would be a great mayor, and if I was lucky enough to win, that I would have to work harder and make sure that I would be doing as good a job as the mayor of Charleston that Jimmy Bailey would. But, you know, even with the best of intentions, we know that politics is an active sport. And in the process, it's a contact sport. And in the process, there are bruises and injuries that occur. And so after the election, the friendship obviously was diminished. It was awkwardness, and that was a loss for me. About a year and a half after the election, when this controversy was brewing, I saw Jimmy at the post office right across from City Hall, and our relationship was still awkward. And he said, "Joe, you got a minute?" I said, "Sure." He said, "That problem y'all having with the Rose kids, that's what we call now." He said, "I really think our entrepreneurship training program would be helpful." And so we started, and really the rest is history. We got the people together, we got the wonderful staff, we got the kids. It was so interesting. The first class we had, certain number of kids came, I forgot how many. They had to come in the afternoon. And the next day, more kids came, rather than less. What Jimmy Bailey has done with his force of leadership and raising the money is trained 500 teachers in South Carolina to teach entrepreneurship. We now, together, have 6 summer camps going on in Charleston at this very minute, in middle schools, kids that otherwise wouldn't be engaged in the summer, learning the principles of business. When Jimmy first discussed this with me, what struck the term that made me understand was that there are a lot of kids who are not doing well in school but have street smarts. And we all understand that. We grew up with kids that had the street smarts. They're good people, and they just need to get turned on. and business turns them on. The way to make a buck and the interesting aspects of business. So I just give you that personal report that among other things that we do in this job is that we should always be building bridges, community bridges and personal bridges. So for me, now my dear friend Jimmy Bailey and I have a renewed friendship. We're working on positive things together. And in fact, last night in Providence, we drank a few beers together. Please join me in welcoming Jimmy Bailey.
Well, first off, I can tell you I was bruised a lot more than he was. To you distinguished mayors, and I understand where you stand at the forefront of taking care of this country. I understand that very well. I will have to tell you that, Mayor Diaz, as you and your video was ongoing this morning, I said this was a streetwise person. And he turned that street sense into business sense and business smarts to create the third campaign, of which we should all be very, very happy about. We at YEScarolina, we are a program partner of the National Foundation of Teaching Entrepreneurship out of New York. You have a wonderful office there in South Florida that with the National Foundation of Teaching Entrepreneurship, where one of the children from there recently won the Oppenheimer Award business competition plan in New York City. The mayor has mentioned all the things we're doing, and we're training public school teachers, social workers, and recreational department leaders how to go back to your particular area to begin the process of teaching streetwise kids wealth creation and business formulation. I read a speech, it was, and this is, I guess, the most important thing that I can impart to you. It was a chant speech that I read by Steve Mariotti, former public school teacher at Jane Addams Vocational School. And it was one of the greatest speeches I've ever read, and the title was Solving the Problem of Poverty. And in the speech he says, I know a secret that if fully understood by government, business, and community leaders could possibly have an enormous positive implications for the future of our society. The secret is simply this. Low-income children are born with special gifts and talents that prepare them for wealth creation and business formulation. They are skeptical of hierarchies. They are accustomed to stress. They're not afraid of failure. They're creative and full of chutzpah. In other words, they have street sense that we at the National Foundation and YEScarolina want to turn into business smarts. And I am 65 years old. I, along with Joe Reilly and others of my generation, stood shoulder to shoulder and changed a war that was just not a good war and brought our folks home. My generation is responsible for that, I believe. We also stood shoulder to shoulder and changed unjust laws that had been on the books for too many years. And then most of us got married, started our business, raised families, and now it has occurred to me we have one last thing left to do, and that is bring about economic equality for all people in the United States. And so that is at the very heart, and that is at the very heart of what we do and what we are attempting to do. I would like to issue a challenge for the fourth campaign, Mr. Mayor, and that is that we change those laws that still prevent young, poor kids from reaching their potential and become economically and financially independent in this country. Thank you so very much.
Jimmy. And Jimmy Bailey will be here today and tonight, so if any of you want information about the National Institute of Teaching Entrepreneurship and connecting with your communities, he's available, and I hope you will. It's replicable. It can work anywhere.